You know the creeper in Minecraft, right? That mindless walking explosive? But what if that whole idea was just a lie? Today, we're diving into Creeper's Rebellion, an incredible animated saga that takes one of gaming's most iconic monsters and turns them into the hero of their own story.
The entire series really hinges on this one simple question. We've always seen the creeper as just an obstacle, something to avoid. But this story forces you to imagine something totally different. What if they had a society, a culture, and maybe more importantly, what if they had a really good reason to see us as the monsters?
So Creeper's Rebellion takes that question and just runs with it, building a whole world around the idea. This isn't just a simple fan animation, it's a serious, story-driven saga. It uses the creepers to dig into some timeless and honestly pretty uncomfortable questions. What happens when the powerless finally get power? And does the fight for freedom always end up corrupting the people who win?
And let me tell you, the ambition behind this project is massive. It's created by AB14 under the DUVORO Animation Studio, and their vision isn't just for a few short one-off episodes. Nope. They are building this thing from the ground up to be a long-term cinematic saga, a whole universe designed to grow and evolve over years.
Okay, so every rebellion has to start somewhere, right? It's always a reaction to something. So to really understand the fire, we first have to understand the pressure cooker it was in. This is what the world looked like before the uprising.
In this world, you have to understand, creepers weren't even seen as a species. They were a resource you could harvest or a pest you had to exterminate. For generations, they were hunted down, controlled, and treated like they were just mindless mobs. Their intelligence? Completely ignored. And the ones enforcing this brutal world order were the Ender Knights. Think of them as a powerful, super-disciplined military force, and they operated on one single, rock-solid idea. Creepers are not a people to be understood. They're a weapon to be controlled or a threat to be eliminated. Coexistence? Yeah, that was never even an option for them. So you have this absolutely explosive conflict brewing. On one side, you've got the Ender Knights with their rigid, iron-fisted ideology of total control, and on the other side, you have the reality of the Creepers, an intelligent race just being pushed to the absolute brink. This power imbalance created a powder keg, just waiting for a spark. And you know what? That spark finally came. This next part is all about that crucial turning point. And it wasn't just a revolution on the battlefield. It was a revolution inside the minds of the creepers themselves. After generations of being scattered and hunted, something just snapped. A new kind of consciousness started to ripple through the entire species. It wasn't one single event, but more like a collective awakening, a shared feeling that they deserved a whole lot more than just survival. This evolution really happened in 3 distinct stages. First, they learned to think collectively, sharing knowledge and a unified purpose. This allowed them to actually organize and form a real resistance. And that organization, well, it led to the final, inevitable step. They began to fight, not just to survive, but to exist. Their whole motivation transformed. It went from a basic animal instinct into a deep political battle for their very identity as a people. So this big shift in thinking, of course, led to war. But the series handles this war in a very specific, very intentional way. They keep it grounded and brutal to really hammer home the true cost of a revolution.
The creators made a really deliberate choice to ground this first season in a gritty reality. There are no magic gems, no time travel to come in and save them. It's a raw, classic war story, fought with strategy and sacrifice. And that simplicity is what makes the struggle feel so real and the stakes feel so incredibly high.
The consequences are immediate and, frankly, devastating for both sides. But in the middle of all that chaos, a fundamental truth starts to come out. The Ender Knights' core belief that creepers are just mindless monsters is completely shattered. The war proves their thinking, strategic enemy, and that realization starts to crack the foundations of the entire world order. And all of this serves the true purpose of the first season. See, it's not a self-contained story. It's really the end of the beginning. It's the violent, necessary foundation for a much larger and much darker saga to come. The ultimate takeaway from this first chapter is that a permanent line has been crossed. There's no going back. The rebellion has gained way too much momentum, and the balance of power has shifted for good. The Ender Knights can't just crush them anymore. The movement has become unstoppable. And that is precisely the point. Season 1 isn't meant to answer every single question. Its job is to plant the spark. It establishes the conflict, it lays the foundation, and it sets the stage perfectly for everything that's about to unfold.
And what follows is where the story gets truly complex. The chaos of that first war creates the perfect fertile ground for much darker themes to grow. Corruption from within the rebellion itself, the temptation of powerful artifacts, and even the tragedy of heroes falling from grace. All of it is born from this initial conflict.
And this leaves us with the central question the saga promises to explore. You know, it's one thing to win your freedom, but what happens the day after the victory? What new problems pop up when the oppressed become the powerful? Because as this story shows, when the first fight is over, the real war is often just beginning.